Listening for specific information. Listening is an important communication too. Listening is hearing with intention. While hearing is an involuntary and casual activity, listening is a voluntary and serious activity and therefore has to be planned deliberately. The challenges in listening. There are many difficulties an individual may face in understanding a talk, lecture, or converse in a second language. The speaker, the situation, and the listener can all be the cause of these difficulties. Contributing factors include the speakers talking quickly, background noise, a lack of visual clue, the listener's limited vocabulary, the lack of knowledge of the topic, and an inability to distinguish individual sounds. Students should listen and be able to understand the main idea of what is said, as well as specific details. Here are some of the main skills involved in listening together with a brief description of what each skill involves. Predicting content. Our knowledge of the world helps us anticipate the kind of information we are likely to hear. Moreover, when we predict the topic of a talk or conversation, all the related vocabulary stored in our brain is activated to help us better understand what we are listening to. Depending on the context, a news report, a university lecture, an exchange in a supermarket, you can often predict the kind of words and style of language the speaker. If you are taking a listening text, skim through the questions first and try to predict what kind of information you need to listen out for. A question beginning, "How many?" for example, will probably require you to listen for a specific number of quantity of something. For example, imagine you've just turned your TV on. You see a man in a suit standing in front of a large map with symbols of a sun, cloud, and thunder. What do you imagine he is about to tell you? Most likely, this is going to be a weather forecast. You can expect to hear words like sunny, windy, and overcast. You'll probably hear the use of future tense. For example, it'll be a cold start to the day. There'll be showers in the afternoon, etc. Here's what you can do to practice predicting content. Watch or listen to a recorded TV program or clip from YouTube. Pause after every few sentences. Try to predict what is going to happen or what the speaker might say. Second, listening for gist. Information comes in a sequence, and in that sequence of information, there are content words such as nouns, adjectives, and verbs that can help you form a picture, and we often call this listening for gist. For example, words like food, friends, fun, park, and sunny day have their own meanings, but when you hear the words in sequence, they help form the context of a picnic. When you learn new words, try to group them with other words used in a similar context. Mind maps are very good for this. Here's what you can do for practicing listening for gist. Find a short video with subtitles on a topic that interests you. Use the title to help you predict the content and then listen for content words. Go back and listen again with subtitles. How much did you understand the first time? Return to the video a week later and try again. Third, listening for details. Similarly, when listening for details, you are interested in a specific kind of information, perhaps a number, name, or object. You can ignore anything that does not sound relevant. In this way, you are able to narrow down your search and get the detail you need. In listening test, if you are asked to write down the ages of a person, listen for the words related to age. For example, old, young, years, date of birth, etc. Or a number that could represent that person's age. If it's a conversation, you might wait to hear someone beginning with a question, how old? Here's what you can do to practice listening for details. Decide on a type of detailed information you want to practice listening for and watch programs where you would expect to get that information. For example, you could listen to a weather report to get details about the weather, or you could follow the sports news to find out. Fourth, inferring meaning. Imagine you are a tourist in a country whose language you do not speak. In a restaurant, you hand over a credit card to pay for the bill, but the server seems to say something apologetic in response. Even though you don't understand his words, you can probably conclude that the restaurant doesn't take credit cards and you need to pay with cash instead. This is the technique of inferring meaning, using clues and prior knowledge about a situation to work out the meaning of what we hear. Similarly, we can infer the relationship between people from the words they use without having to find out directly. Take the following conversation. A. Tom, did you do your homework? B. I did, sir, but the dog ate it. A. That's a terrible excuse. You'll never pass your exams if you don't work harder. We can infer from the use of words homework and exams that this is a conversation between a student and his teacher. By using contextual clues and our knowledge of the world, we can work out what's being said, who is speaking, and what's taking place.